What is up, YouTube? How's everybody doing today? This is Everything is Tech here from everythingistech.com, and in this video I have my comparison of the Samsung Galaxy S3 and the iPhone 5. So just before we get right into the video, I want to go ahead and say that they're both on Verizon's 4G LTE network, and they're both really great phones. Probably some of the most anticipated phones of this year are the iPhone 5 and the S3. So the holiday season's coming up really soon, and I'm pretty sure you guys are really anxious to see which one's better so you guys can go ahead and make your purchase. So in this video I will be going over several rounds to compare both the phones head to head and see which one will come out on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this video. So the first round we'll cover the specs of both the phones, and this will definitely get a little bit geeky, so for all you non-geeky people out there, you guys probably won't care that much about this. But as far as in general the specs go, both the phones are fantastic, and the specs are really important because that's what the phone will run on. That's what gives you the power on the phone to produce the content and really pretty much determines the speed of both the phones. So let's go ahead and start off with the iPhone 5 first. The iPhone 5 features a 4-inch Retina display that has a resolution of 1136 by 640 and features 326 pixels per inch. It is also packed with a dual-core processor that is clocked at 1.3 GHz and 1 GB of RAM. Also, the back-facing camera has 8 megapixels and it can take 1080p video at 30 frames per second. The front facing camera can take 1.2 megapixel photo stills, and it is capable of 720p video 30 frames per second, so both the cameras can take HD video. Also, the battery is supposed to last you about 8 hours in general. On the other hand, we have the Samsung Galaxy S3 that features a 4.8-inch AMO LED display with a resolution of 1280 by 720 with 306 ppi or pixels per inch. It is also packed with a dual-core 1.5 GHz processor with 2 GB of RAM, which gives you a lot of room for multitasking. Now, as far as both the cameras go on this phone, the back-facing camera can take 1080p video at 30 frames per second, and it can also take 8 megapixel photo stills. The front-facing camera can take 1.9 megapixel photo stills and take 720p HD video at 30 frames per second. And finally, the battery is supposed to last you about 15 hours in general. In the end, when we go ahead and sum everything up for the specs, the S3 has a bigger display while the iPhone 5 has a sharper display. So in the end, it is personal preference if someone wants a bigger display or a sharper display. The S3 also has a better processor and RAM. And of course, the front-facing camera, as far as the specs go, not the quality, but just the specs, the S3's front-facing camera does outperform the iPhone 5's front-facing camera because the 1.2 megapixel versus the 1.9 on the S3. And then when it comes to battery life, apparently, the S3 gets about 15 hours of battery life, which is all baloney. I get about 5.5 hours of use with the S3 when it comes to, browsing the web, checking my mail, watching videos, viewing photos, and all the daily stuff that I would do on a phone. I think I get just about the same amount of battery life use on both the phones, but if it had to come down to what phone I choose for battery life, I think the iPhone 5 has a slightly better battery life, but the spec round, the first round, definitely goes to the S3 for its better processor, its better RAM, and its better front-facing camera. In round 2, we'll go ahead and cover the design of both the phones, but before I get into the design, I just want to say that both the phones have a really unique design, and I admire the companies for the design. Also, both the phones have carried really the same design from their previous versions. For example, the iPhone 5 has had the same design as the iPhone 4S, except for a few minor changes, and the same goes for the S3 as well. When you go ahead and pick the iPhone 5 up for the first time and hold it in your hands, I'll guarantee you're really going to like the feel of it because it's made out of some nice material. It doesn't feel cheaply made at all, and you really have a nice grip on the iPhone 5. The iPhone 5 is also really lightweight, weighing about 3.95 ounces, which is not much at all. And again, really feels light in your hands. Doesn't feel like you have anything in your hands at all, to be quite honest. When you first go ahead and hold the S3 for yourself, you might have some mixed feelings about it like I did. When I first held it in my hands, I thought it was a little bit cheaply made. You could definitely tell that it's made out of some plastic material, especially the back case where you can take off, and if you go ahead and play with it a little bit, you feel like it can snap in half if you are a little bit too rough on it. But if you go ahead and squeeze the phone, it feels like it can definitely get crushed by your hands. But overall feel of the phone is great, and the only problem is holding it, and how it is constructed feels a little bit cheaply made. But for the winner of this round, the design, I have to give this for the iPhone 5. for its awesome design. It looks really nice, and the feel that it provides when you hold it in your hand is far more superior than the S3 feel. In round 3, we'll discuss the operating system of both phones, and the operating system, in my opinion, is the second most important thing in the phone. Without the operating system, your phone is just a plastic or a piece of metal that you really can't do anything without. And pretty much the operating system is the basis of your phone. And in both the phones, the operating system is really different. The S3 runs Android 4.0, while the iPhone runs iOS 6.0. They're really new to both the devices, and I really like both operating systems for different reasons. The Android operating system has really improved since the last 2 years, so now I can definitely say it's really head-to-head with the iOS. I know back in the days, maybe a few years ago, the Android operating system was really laggy, sluggish, you'd really have problems with it, but now it's really different. Google has really improved the operating system on the Android, so now you can definitely put them head-to-head and go ahead and decide. But for me, I think it's really unfair to decide which one's better. Look at the Android. There's no lag at all, really, when you go ahead and change the screens. Same with the iPhone. And again, the iOS has been known for its basic features. It's really straight to the point. There's no lag or anything on the iPhone. The S3 has gotten a lot better with that. And then again, multitasking is really neat on both the phones, honestly. For the S3, you have these apps that are already open. You can just go ahead and slide them to delete it or just push remove. On the iPhone, you can double click the home button and it will just take you, and you can just go ahead and minus out these apps and they will close. So again, the operating systems are really different in their own way. You can also add widgets on your S3, which is really an extra feature that's not on the iPhone. And again, the overall operating system is really hard to see which one is better, but for the operating system in round 3, I'll have to give both the phones a tie. They both have great operating systems. They've both improved a lot in the past, especially the Android. That has improved so much in the last 2 years. It's really unbelievable. It feels like a whole new operating system altogether. And iOS 6, it's improving. It's a lot more steadier, stabler. You can really see no lag when you go ahead and turn the screens. Same with the S3. And overall, the operating systems are both great on the phone, and they work really well. Now, as far as the display goes, which we're going to cover in round 4, I've already basically gone over the display and in the spec version, but this is a whole another round because the display is really a big deal for both the phones. And as far as the display goes, it's really fantastic on both the phones. The iPhone 5 has 326 pixels per inch, while the S3 has a 306 pixels per inch, and that does make a small difference when you go and view text. Let's go to Safari, open up a quick zoom in I did of google.com. This is all the way on the bottom. As you can see that the iPhone 5, the text is really clear, really bright. You can really see details of the text. You go and look at the S3, it can't get any bigger than that, but you can actually see the text really clearly as well. But in all honesty, if you actually look at this in real view, real person, I think the iPhone 5 is a little bit more clear than the actual S3. But when it comes to the overall display, some people do prefer a bigger display, others prefer a sharper display. I think it's more personal preference. So in this round, I have to give this a tie to both the phones. Both phones have really great displays. The S3 has a bigger display. It is really clear as well, don't get me wrong. But the iPhone 5 with a smaller display has a better resolution and is a little bit more clear as far as the display goes as compared to the S3. So this round, round 4, is a tie to both phones. In round 5, we'll go ahead and compare Siri and the S Voice. To me, both these are unnecessary. It's a fluff. I guess it's good to have, but nothing I find necessary. So let's go ahead and activate it on both the phones. Miami Heat record.
The Heat are currently 8-3. Let me do an internet search for
And iPhone, the Siri got it right the first time. It instantaneously pulled up the whole record of the team and who they won. They also have similar teams as well, like the Bobcats, Hawks, Magic, Wizards. They have their records here as well. Really straight to the point, really quick. As far as the S3 goes, it's still searching. It's giving you an option to search the web. And again, Siri definitely looks a lot better from a few searches I've already done. So now let's go ahead and do another quick search. Now we're going to go ahead and see and try to search the tallest person in the world. Tallest person in the world.
Checking on that.
Let me do an internet search for an answer
Okay,
to the tallest
here you
person
go.
in the world.
And here it is. This is the Siri is right on top with it. It gives you the whole information, tells you how tall it is and the result, while the S3 is still asking you to search the web. And honestly, in the end, I think Siri is a lot better than the S3. There are instances where S3 and the Siri both have turned up these answers right on the screen without having to go to the web. But the iPhone 5, the Siri gets it done a lot quicker, a lot faster, and gets right to the point. So in round 5, I have to give the Siri the win for the round. It definitely is a lot better and more accurate, and it definitely understands what you want, and it gets right to the point. In round 6, we're going to go ahead and talk about the 4G LTE speeds of both the phones. And in my opinion, I think this is one of the harder rounds to determine which one is better, because they're really different and they vary a lot from time to time. Generally, I see that the iPhone 5 has a lot higher speeds than the S3, but on the S3 the speeds are more constant, rather, regardless of if I'm at home, if I'm outside. Usually I've done tests at home more often than I have outside, on the highway or anything. But whenever I'm at home, I think the highest I've ever gotten on the iPhone 5 is about 55 download and maybe about 25-30 upload. And the highest I've gotten ever on the S3 is about 42 down and about 25 up. And again, it's more constant on the S3, seeing about 35, 30s, or even 25 megabytes. I usually see 25, 30 megabytes download and about maybe like 20 uploads on the S3. Whereas on the iPhone, I generally see about 18 download, 12 uploads. So there's a small difference in when it is constant, the speeds. But as far as constant goes, the S3 is more constant, but the iPhone 5 has higher speeds. So in the end, I have to give the 4G LTE speeds that both the phones are going to tie. Round 7, we're going to go ahead and compare the web browsing experience on both the phones. And let's go ahead and open up the web browsing applications. And again, typing also, just a quick note on the site, typing on both the phones seems really seems a lot better than I thought it would be. On the S3, I like it more than I did on the Droid X2 because of the larger screen, and it makes it more natural and smoother to type on, and there's more real estate for the keys. Same on the iPhone 5, the extra few half inches on the screen really do help. So let's go ahead and load up Google, see which one loads up first. Google.com. So, Google.com. 3, 2, 1, go. iPhone 5 loads it up instantaneously, and then the S3 it takes about just about a second for it to load up. Let's go to YouTube.com, and see which one loads up first. YouTube.com. 3, 2, 1, go. The iPhone 5 again wins really quickly, and the S3 it takes about a few more seconds. But the thing is, this one, the S3 did load up the desktop version while the iPhone loaded up the mobile version. Now we're gonna go ahead and load up the Everything is Tech website, my website. So Everything is Tech, and let's go ahead and see which one comes up at the top. 3, 2, 1, go. The iPhone loads it up about a few seconds quicker than the S3. Now finally we're going to go ahead and go to the YouTube, not the YouTube, but Facebook.com and see which one loads up first. Facebook. Alright, and 3, 2, 1, go. iPhone 5 loads up, and then the S3 loads up about a few seconds, about just a second, less than a second later. So as you can see, the iPhone 5 is more constant in loading up web pages a lot quicker than it is on in general than the S3. So in that case, if you do keep that in mind, iPhone is faster, but I have to give this round to the S3, mainly because I like the S3 for web browsing a lot more. I guess it's more personal preference. I like the bigger screen, and I like the real estate it has to type on. So that's why I like the S3 for web browsing better than I do on the iPhone 5. That's just my personal opinion. Also, one other thing that influences my decision is that you have Flash on the S3, and that for me is a big deal. I really do like Flash. I like to watch Flash content as well. Let's go ahead and show you a quick example. Right on the website, right on the internet application, this will play that Flash content. And there you go, it already loads up, it's playing. You can pause it, make it full screen, and it plays with virtually no lag at all after it's done loading. So that's why I like the S3 over the iPhone 5. It's personal preference, but that's just my opinion. So this round 7, goes to the S3 for the better web browsing experience. Here we are in round 8, where I'm going to talk about the music player application, mainly because the iPhone is really one of the biggest reasons people buy it is because of its music player, because it's really easy to play music on, and I really like the iPhone 5 for its music player. And again, the music player is really important because a lot of people like to have their music on their phone if it's possible, and I like the music player on both the devices. But there are a couple of things that really catch me off about the S3 as far as the music player goes. And there are some things, I don't like about the iPhone 5. But one phone will win this round, but let's see which one wins. So first of all, I want to talk about a few things I find really annoying about both the phones. Mainly the S3, to be quite honest. To make a playlist, it takes a lot of effort to just make a playlist and then add a playlist on the S3. You have to actually go to playlists. You have to go to the button over here, then click create playlist. You name the playlist whatever you want to name it, and then to add songs, it's really even more annoying because you have to go ahead and go to all, or go to your song, and then say I go to my song artist and click Atreyu, and you have to actually hold on the song, have my finger on the phone on the song name, and then click add to playlist, and then I have to select which playlist, and that is really annoying. If I have to add a playlist by going to the playlist thing, I go to, if I go to playlists over here, then I go to, maybe I want to add something to my car, I click car. You can always add by just clicking the button over here and then clicking add. But then the worst thing is you can't actually search for a song. You actually have to go all the way down and go to the letter A, B, C, D, and then eventually look for that song to click it, and then it will go ahead and get added to your playlist. That is really annoying, and that's one of the biggest things that throw me off about this phone as far as the music player goes. One benefit about this music player for the S3, though, however, is you can play FLAC files and WAV files, and the iPhone 5 can't do that. Going to the iPhone 5, let's be honest, this is one of the best things for music. If you want to go ahead and click, want to go ahead and make a playlist, go ahead and add a playlist. Go ahead and give it a name, save, and it's already on your songs, and you can go ahead and search for your songs. And you can always search for the song by just dragging a little bit up, search, click search for a song, and it's already searching. You can add it to your playlist. Simple as that. That's why for this round, I have to give this to the iPhone 5. And this is really a big round for me personally because I listen to a lot of music. I like to have my music on my phone. But if it's really annoying to find the songs and make a playlist, that's why I would prefer the iPhone 5 in this case over the S3. In round 9, we're going to go ahead and talk about phone call quality. I know we don't use our phones that much to make calls, but we use it more for texting and browsing the web, listening to music, videos, and photos. But still, having a phone that can call is a big thing, and that is still a key feature in a phone. So, one of the things I really don't like about the S3 as far as the phone calls go, every once in a while I go ahead and try to make a phone call. I dial a number, and I click call, but the call never goes through, so I have to end the call and go ahead and try again. And usually at the second time, the call will go through, and that will be done. And that's only really a small problem I've had with the S3. I've never had a drop call with any of these phones, so that's always a benefit and a thumbs up. But as far as the quality goes, I have to give this to the iPhone 5, mainly because, whenever I've talked to anyone on both the phones, people say they could have, hear me better on the iPhone 5 compared to the S3. Even when I've used Skype or anything, people have said I sound better, my voice sounds more clear on the iPhone 5 than on the S3. So this round definitely goes to the iPhone 5. In round 10, we're going to go ahead and compare the photo quality of both the phones. And let's be honest, both the phones take really good photos. And these are all from the back-facing camera. So the first photo you see right now is a flower. I've taken it both in the same atmosphere, in the same place. And the iPhone 5 is a lot more clear, in my opinion. Not even just clear. The colors really do pop out on the iPhone more than they do on the S3. On the S3, they look a little bit more dull on this photo. Looking at the next photo, this is just a flower, or not even a flower, a leaf that I took. Again, on the iPhones, it's blackened out because I think that's how the iPhone reacts when it sees a backhand sun or backhand light behind the subject. So that really isn't a good thing because I've tried to take a shot like that a couple of times and it really did black out. So I have to give this one to the S3. This one looks a lot better than the S3 than it does on the iPhone. Then the next one is a leaf, and this one I think looks really good on both the phones because I mean, on the S3 it looks a little bit different because of the flare that you can see, but it's really clear, and it also does make the background a little bit blurry. And then in the iPhone, the colors are more clear and they pop out a little bit more, so that's always a positive as well. This next photo I have to give to the S3 because this was just to see if I could read the letters, and I took this from the same distance, but for some reason I think the iPhone the lens is a little bit more shorter end, so you might have to get a little bit more closer with the iPhone than when you'd have to get with the S3 to get it on the same level of zoom. But the S3 did make it, I think it's easier to read the letters on the S3 than it is on the iPhone photo. And then the next one I took is about some speakers, and this is just to check out the flash, and the iPhone did a lot better job at taking the photo because on the iPhone you could actually see just the plain white wall, whereas in the S3 you see the kind of colored yellow lookingish wall, and that's because the flash was really too strong on that photo. And then finally I took a photo of trying to max out the zoom, and of course the quality isn't going to be the best because it's maxed out on the zoom, the optical zoom, and I think the S3 did take a better photo in this case. So the photos are really hard to decide on, and I'm going to have to give it a tie for both the phones because the iPhone takes a lot clearer and crisp shots as compared to the S3, but the S3 does a really good job on taking photos where you can read the text and focusing and all that great stuff. I think the actual interface on both the phones are really different, really unique, which makes it really good as well to take photos on. There are some downfalls on both the sides, but on both the phones, but regardless, I have to give this section a tie for both the phones. So in round 10, the photos, I have to give a tie. Now let's go ahead and take a quick look at the video on both the phones in round 11. So here I am outside in the front of my lawn with the S3, checking out how the video goes and the mic quality is compared to the iPhone 5. And so far on the screen, I think the video looks fantastic on the S3. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the iPhone 5. Alright guys, here we are with the iPhone 5, and same place. And hopefully you guys can tell how the video looks. I can't tell that well because the screen is pretty dimmed out, but hopefully you guys can get the feel of how the video looks on the iPhone 5. In round 11, I think the video quality definitely goes to the S3 because the colors really do pop out and there's a really good amount of contrast as well. The only downfall is the microphone isn't that good on the S3, whereas on the iPhone, the microphone is way too low that you could barely hear me. But as far as round 11 goes, it goes to the S3. In the final round, round 12, we're going to talk about the available models for both phones. The iPhone 5 is available in black and white, comes in a 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte model. The 16 gigabyte is $200 with a contract. The 32 is about $300 with a contract, and the 64 is about $400 with a contract. The S3 comes in a blue and white, and it comes in 16 and 32 gigs. The 16 gigabyte is $200. The 32 gig is $250, $50 more than the 16 gigs. However, with the S3, you can always expand the memory. So if you go ahead and buy a 16 gigabyte version, and you feel that you're running out of space, so you do run out of space, you can always buy a mini SD card. Highest you can get is a 64 gigabyte version, and plug that right into your phone, and then there you go. You'll have that 76 gigabytes worth of space on your phone. With the iPhone, you cannot do that. So if you buy a 16 gigabyte version or a 32 gigabyte version, you're stuck with a 32 or 16 gigabyte version. If you run out of space, you have to go ahead and delete some things off of it to add more things. And I know it has happened to some people that they have an iPhone, they have a 32 gigabyte iPhone or a 16 gig, and it's filled up, and they just want to put more stuff on it, more music on it, but they can't because it's filled up and there's no way to have more space onto it. So that really does suck. Some people actually do end up selling their old iPhone and get just a 64 gig or a 32 gig iPhone. For me, I know it sucks because my music collection is about 35 gigs, and that does not fit on a regular iPod anymore, so I have to buy either a 64 gigabyte iPhone or a 16 gigabyte S3 and just buy a 32 gig SD card. So those are all big things. I think this round definitely goes to the S3. I know this sounds like a really small deal, but this might make it seem that I'm trying to make the phones go out even, but out of the bottom of my heart, I really mean this. I think this is a really big thing, and the space really does matter to a lot of people. So the winner of round 12 goes to the S3, and overall, in the end of the video, both the phones come out on a tie. They're on an even platform, both of them having the same amount of points. So the question that probably still remains in some people's heads is which phone to buy, which one is better, and as I've mentioned throughout the whole video, I like both the phones, and again, both the phones are better in their own way. The S3 has a bigger display, and I think the web browsing experience on the S3 is really, really fun to go ahead and just browse the web on. Also has a really great operating system. On the other hand, you have the iPhone 5 that has a better battery life. The screen is a little bit more sharper than the S3, even though it's a bit smaller. And again, there's just so many things that really will contribute to help you buy the phone and decide on your phone. One thing you guys should definitely go ahead and check out if you're really stuck between the two phones is go to a store, either Verizon, AT&T, wherever your carrier is, and go ahead and play with their phone. Play with the iPhone 5, play with the S3, and see which one you like better. It's more of a personal choice rather than what phone is better. So, in the end, both the phones are a tie in my opinion. I like both the phones, although I use the S3 and my dad uses the iPhone 5. I do like both the phones. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to send me a message, leave a comment, and I'll try to get back to it as soon as possible. My S3 review is up on my YouTube channel right now as we speak, and my iPhone 5 review will be out really soon, so stay tuned to my channel by subscribing. Thank you very much, have a great day, and see you guys all in another video. Peace out.